Hey everybody, sorry for the little delay here. Just as trying to get things all set up and ready for you all for the Compress UV webinar today. It looks like we got a few people still trickling in, so we're going to maybe just kind of go over a little bit of the ground rules and what we do here while we're waiting for folks to show up. First off, thank you all for taking some time out of your day to be here and just check out the Compress UV printers we have set up here. We have both our 600S and our 1200S set up here for you, for the chance for you guys to be able to see both machines in action. And now that I mentioned that, I actually wanted to have one of them in action before we got started. So one of the things I'm going to do is get it started printing. Just basic rules. If at any time you have any questions, just feel free to type them in, okay? And there's a question already. Peter, you're on top of it, man. Will there be a recording of this made available? Yes, absolutely, Peter. We are. God willing and the creeks don't rise, we are going to do a recording. We are trying to record it, and generally what we'll do is after the event, everyone who attended and those who signed up and weren't able to make it, we actually make that available as well. Sorry about that. I'm used to having the camera on my computer here. We've got a different setup this time, so if you're going to get a lot of good views of my pretty bald spot right there. Thank you very little. Thank you very little. One thing I do want to get going, though, is I do want to get a print going over here on our large machine because I got a large print that I'm going to do, and I believe that one is at our production. Oh, it's in our fast. That's right. We're going to be printing on a couple of different types of items for you here right during this, and all right, that's one I'm going to get printing right there. I'm going to go ahead and start that one printing so that we have some printing going on our large machine while this is going on. All right, so looks like we've got some more bodies that have shown up. We're going to go ahead and get started with it. Hopefully you all can see me, and at least the back of my head anyway. We open this up a little bit so we can see what's going on, and I can see questions. All right, as I was saying, welcome to the Compress UV webinar here. We have two basic models of the Compress UV. Let me ask a question up front. How many of you all have or are currently using a UV printer in your business? If you are, just put your hand up. How about that? Looks like I only see one hand up. Okay, great. So everybody's new to this, which would make sense. This is kind of an intro type of webinar. So we're going to go into the assumption that you don't know nothing, and you guys are going to think I am a rocket scientist. All right, we have one gentleman that does have one of the machines, so he'll probably drill me with questions, and I'll be laying here dead on the floor before it's all over. But we're going to go in a little bit about what it is. Basically, it's a large format printer, inkjet printer, with a couple of specialties to it. Number one, obviously, we use a different type of ink. We use a UV ink, which is reacted by a UV light, and you'll see it while it's printing. You'll see a light sliding back and forth that will actually be curing the inks as they hit it. It's designed to be print on basically on rigid substrates, whether it's plastics, metals, woods, items like that, as opposed to a traditional printer that might print onto a substrate like a vinyl, or might be printing onto some type of fabric or textile, like a direct-to-garment printer or a roll-to-roll printer. All right. Mechanically very similar to the other machines, however. Software-wise, pretty much the same. We have some different rules we play by because we have different situations where we may want to put white ink under certain things, not under others. We may print in reverse and whatnot. But other than that, it's basically a large format printer. The two different models, the 600S and the 1200, basically what they are is a 24 by 18 inch print area and a 43. I'm going to swing you around here so you can kind of see. Over here, we've got it printing right now. This basically prints a 43.5 by 29.5 deep area. Other than that, mechanically the machines are identical. It's really about print area. The big benefit to the 1200 is the ability to do, as you'll see, large real estate signs or architectural signs and whatnot that are being done, like this is done on Coro. You could do it on sign foam. You could do it on lots of different types of materials. All right? Another differentiation when you look at a UV printer is the depth that the bed will travel. This unit will travel just about 11.2 inches, 11.25 inches up and down, so it gives you a large area to be able to address items. That doesn't mean you're going to print around the edges of something for 11.5 inches, but it means that you can take something that's already pre-constructed and print on it. As you'll see, we're going to be printing on golf balls, which we're only printing on a small part of the top, but the golf balls themselves, you're probably 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches up off of the bed. We've printed on some pre-structured boxes, wooden boxes, different types of things. If you're in the manufacturing business, a lot of times you may have pre-constructed parts that you need to be able to get into it. Having that extra depth is good. If you really need a little bit more depth, you can pick up almost a whole 1/2 inch more. It's 11.82 out of the 1200. All right, so with the 1200, literally you can take something that's 11.5 inches tall and virtually 4 foot by 3 foot and put it into the machine. It allows you to actually go outside of the printable area with the media, as you'll see when we get back over there to the real estate sign that we're printing. We actually have a larger piece of Coro than we can actually physically print, but it's a 4 foot wide piece, which is exactly what Coroplast comes in. It's usually a 4 by 8 piece anyway, so we took that and slid it down. So you have that on top of that, they'll tote over 40 pounds of weight on the bed, so you could load it up with items. We haven't done the math on the 1200, but I can tell you that on this right here, this jig we have placed on the 600 will handle 96 golf balls. That's 8 dozen. Haven't done the math over there. It's got to be somewhere in the area of 25 dozen, easily, maybe 30 dozen balls at a time. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and do what everybody wants to do, because everybody thinks about a UV printer. You got to print on golf balls. So we're going to go ahead and load this up and print on some golf balls. I was mentioning some of the differences. One of the things you'll notice that all the lines on the machines are blackened, and you're going to find the bottles are opaque so that the light can't get to them. Because the inks are sensitive to UV, that's how they cure. We don't need it. It's not a problem here. It's very much so in our lights in this controlled environment. But if you're in an office that has a window that to the outside, you're actually going to have UV light coming in, which could cause your inks to settle up. I'm going to step out of the picture real quick. I want to get the software rocking and rolling in here.
Turn on the monitor so folks can see what you're doing.
All right, I can do that. Let me get over to where I want to be. Right now, I'm going to be changing over to the computer screen from the, there you go. You should be seeing the software right now. All right, this is the software we use. This is our compress RIP. The package also comes with a design front end that we can show you briefly here in a minute or two. And I believe, got to find my golf balls now. Ah, that's right, the golf balls are my other section. This is our golf ball jig. We've actually set up a golf ball jig here, representative of the 8 positions of dozens of golf balls. For demo purposes, we actually number these so you can put 1 in, you can put a dozen in, or multiple dozens. We've loaded it up so we have basically 2 dozen golf balls on there. And as you can see, the cost to print each golf ball is somewhere to south of a 6/100th of a penny. So this whole thing is going to cost us less than a penny to print. So I'm going to go ahead and print these. And now I want to swap back. Any questions, by the way, on the software while we're on it? I'll go ahead and answer the question that somebody out there has and somebody hasn't asked yet. The software is PC-based. We're going to go back here, by the way, to the camera of the golf balls being printed. The software is PC-based. You can do your design work on a Mac and just bring it in. The software will recognize PSD files. It will also import PDF files, EPS files, TIFFs, all your major bitmap formats as well. Yes, it is. There's a question down here about whether it's a queue-based RIP. It absolutely is a queue-based RIP. The beauty of that is, as you saw right here when I went to pull this up, we actually had a queue called golf balls. So we actually set up a queue that actually has all of my positions already tabulated for my golf ball jig, right? And it's got our ink settings right. We're printing with a unidirectional mode or bidirectional mode, whatever we have set up for it. We're going to have everything already preset. When you're doing an item like a golf ball, generally what you're going to do is you're going to print unidirectionally because you're going to have some curvature, and you don't want to have your bidirectional feeds give you an issue with it. So this is a unidirectional 1440 by 720 print, pre-set up. We don't have to think about it. We drop our logo in, and bang, we start printing golf balls. All right. The beauty of the queues is you can build your own just like we did as we go. Because this marketplace is so varied, every one of you all out there is going to have something different you're going to get into that you're going to want to print, right? And so having the ability to build your own cues, have your own jigs designed, allows you to set this up, customize it completely to yourself, and have it so that once you hit that first one, you know you can hit all of the rest. While we're watching the golf balls finish up here, we're getting excited because meanwhile, happening over here in our production facility, coming out right now, is a full-blown real estate sign. We did some numbers, did some checking. Actually, one of the gentlemen that works here has in his other life has a sign business. He does this type of work from time to time. And literally, this Coroplast sign, if it was to be done with vinyl, and the cost to print this in vinyl with a eco-solvent printer, like a Roland or a Muto or a Mimaki, would be roughly $4. All right? This sign, the ink cost on it was $1.55. And as you saw, I literally started printing this when we started out this webinar. And I don't know how many minutes we are in, but I guarantee it wasn't much more than 10 or 12 minutes into it that it took to print that whole sign.
It was actually 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
6 minutes and 50 seconds, says the man with the stopwatch. 6 minutes and 50 seconds, printed straight onto the Coroplast. We're done. We're ready to deliver this to the customer. We don't have to worry about application or anything. It's ready to go.
Hold it there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit
All right.
so we can see the quality. I'm a little curious, how many people are interested in doing this kind of signage that's in the webinar?
You got a hold of that? There we go. Got some hands going up? Yes. Wow. Is that real time? Yes, that is real time. At no time did my hands leave my fingers while that was happening. As you can see, good solid areas, good photographic quality print. Real time, you printed that whole sign right there. And when you see the printer and you pull it away, you see that's a real sign, guys. Great big sign. You could use that for real estate signs. You could do it if, for a lot of times you'll see those type of signs out in front of a building where there's new construction going on. This is what this is going to be, right? All kinds of fun stuff like that. You could use it for events and whatnot. It just eliminates that whole factor of having to apply vinyl, right? That with this, you don't have to print on vinyl and then laminate it onto the Coroplast itself. And it prints roughly the same speed as you would print it on a large format printer because you're going to be printing in similar type of resolutions. All right? Oh, look what happened. Meanwhile, our golf balls were printing.
Back at the ranch.
Let's see here, see how close we can get. Oh, there we go. It's kind of hard to get the light. There's a little bit of a glare, and that's off of my head. There we go. There we are. There we are. Now we're getting it. Now we have focus, guys. I didn't measure that, but that text that you can see at the bottom there is basically about 1 millimeter. All right? But the most important thing to remember is just as in any other major game, the most important thing to remember when you're golfing is to keep your eyes on the ball. Just saying, all right? That's actually, oh, there you go. That's like when Mark golfs, right there. But in all seriousness, that was actually printed on the machine as well. We did it on the other side just for fun. But you can have, as you can see, that was also give you guys a representative idea of size. These are about 3/4 of an inch across. We've printed some golf balls with some concentric circles on them, and you start to degrade about 3/4 of an inch. But like on these eyeballs, we could probably have gone out to almost a full inch because there's not a real sharp edge on them anyway. Now our text, if we were to try to do that, a little text, here you go. This is a full inch of concentric circles, and it's not until the last 2 sets of circles, which would be the last 1/8 of an inch, the last 2/16, are you going to really start to lose some of your print quality on it as well. What I want to do now is I'm actually going to come over, show you all some of the different items that you can and we have printed. And by means, this is by no means exhaustive. All right? What we're going to do is we're going to turn and look at this, and magically the machine behind me is going to load itself with some poker chips we're going to print. All right? So what have we got here? We got some of the different items that we printed. I didn't print my cup that I left over there. Sorry about that. But some of the different types of materials. This is a ceramic tile. This is an unglazed ceramic tile, basically, that we've printed to make it a coaster for a National Wild Turkey Federation event. As you can see, stick a cup, take one of these unglazed tiles, stick a couple of the little foam footies on the bottom of it, and you have a glazed tile. There's only about a cent, penny and a half, 2 cents worth of ink on this item, right? This is one thing that's really cool. This is actually just one of those paper type of coasters like you would see, right? We've actually printed both sides of one, right? With there's a local brewery in this area that's called Big Storm. This is one of their signature brands, their amber ale. And this is actually printed on both sides, all right? Again, just pennies worth of ink at most, all right? And because it's UV and it's cured, when you get it wet, when your beer sweats onto it or soda sweats on it, it doesn't run. We actually took and soaked this in water, and it went back to its old self. Did not do it. Great opportunity to make some money there, because I don't know about you, where you're at, but where we're at, microbreweries are huge. Another thing, you can actually take a baseball or softball, soccer ball, basketball, whatever, and you can actually print on it. You see here, we actually printed this logo on it. All right, there we are. And that was actually sponsored by somebody, I believe, if we turn it 180 degrees. Oh, look at that. Sponsored by Compress UV.
A little trouble with focus on this side.
Yeah, we've had focus issues for a while around here. But you get an idea. Baseballs. So you would do these, maybe for the ceremonial first pitch. You might give one of these to each of the coaches, even the kids. The idea of having a bunch of balls for kids who play travel ball or something, they're in a final game. Give each one of the kids one of these balls and have them as a signature ball. Have all their teammates and whatnot sign the ball as a keepsake.
Fundraisers.
Bingo. Then we've got the collection of different materials that we've printed on. This would be a clear acrylic, all right? The unique thing about this is we've printed on the back of it, all right? So basically what we've done is we've printed the color in reverse against the back of the acrylic, printed a white back print to it, all right? That's a great application of that.
I'm going to move over here because the light's a little bit better.
Okay.
Maybe we can see.
A great application for that would be if you're doing like backlit signs for restaurants and whatnot. This is a Alumicor, as you can see here, all right? It's a Alumicor. We printed right on the surface of this with no white ink because it actually has a white surface. So this is just a color print. As you drop off here, you can feel it just straight to it. And we've actually put a little bit of a texture, it may be hard to see under the website, by putting a layer of white texture underneath of the website to make it pop out. This is just a standard white acrylic, as you can see. Once again, no white ink printed on this. This is actually a similar print to the one we had there on the Alumicor, but we also put a little bit of texture underneath the website there as well. And last but not least, this is a MDF fiberboard. We put a white underbase on it, all right? And we've actually printed the color over top,
Nice.
all right? We have Lexan as well, Lexan. What we've done with the Lexan is we've printed, once again, on the back with a white backing to it. You could use this as a coaster. It'd be a little weird coaster with the heart on it, but you can do that.
You got a question asking whether or not there's texture underneath.
There is texture underneath on some of these items. And I'll show you some better ones here in a minute. How about I'll show you some really good textures. Yes, so on some of those pieces, small pieces we were showing you, there was texture. This would be a USB thumb drive, all right, printing on the flippy side of the thumb drive. And here's a cool application. This is actually a pen, and as you see, there's white text printed right on the barrel of the pen. That was printed at the same time because we didn't underbase the compress, but we did print a highlight white to get that really small text on the barrel of the pen. All right. Other applications. One of our sister companies, it's a supply company that sells supplies to the embroidery industry. We've actually printed this for them, and that's our website. If you need any embroidery supplies, go to embsupplies.com. All right, and you'll notice that there's a white in here. We did the same thing here that we did on the pen. We printed a CMYK with a white highlight, and then we flipped them over, and we printed a phone number on them. All right? Real application right there. Raising the value, raising the product awareness for your customers to be able to take their name, website, phone number into certain items. This is kind of just to make your head spin a little bit, right? This is actually just a regular PVC card. We did this just to do some testing on some colors and whatnot, but you can print on these PVC cards. So you've got local schools that want to do fundraiser cards or whatnot, and maybe they don't validate printing up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards. They need to print up 100 or 50 or 25 or whatnot. You can print these up for them. Small organizations that want ID cards, they can do these. You know, there are better ways to do large quantities of these. When you have customers that only need 50 or 100 of these, it doesn't validate you buying a piece of equipment specifically to do them. Do them right on your UV printer. They work just as well as the other type of cards. Now let's get into the fun stuff. Different items you can print on. This is a piece of brushed Alumicor, right? It's got a photo done with no white, CMYK only, printed on. This is we were asking about texture. One of our customers was asking about texture on this. All right, this is actually a textured print. If you look at it, it actually looks like there's a starfish popping right out of it. In fact, we put so much white ink on it that as it tightened up, you'll see it actually debossed the back of the actual canvas itself. This is just a pre-stretched canvas that we bought at a local, I think we bought these at Michael's. Yeah, they're on sale. We bought it at Michael's. That's a texture underneath. And actually what we did, and I'll explain in a moment, there's several ways to do texture. This texture and the texture I'm going to show you here in a minute, we actually built these up with what we call mud, which is multiple layers. It's of all the colors mixed, so I don't have to wait to do maybe 7 passes of white. I do this with 3 colors of mud and 1 color of white over top of it and come back and print my colors on top, which literally means I print twice as fast. Now this is a textured print that was done with our automatic texturing wizard that we have in the design front ends of the software. Don't know if you can see it real well, but if you look here, you can actually see what it looks like, places where there's brush strokes sticking up on it, and it really has an impact when you can do that. And you could take and do that with photographs. There's a customer over in, I believe they're in Australia, that they actually take photographs of animals, and they'll highlight certain areas, like make certain things stand out, like maybe some brush or something. Oh, look at that! I happen to have one right here.
They're all upside down.
Yeah, they're all upside down because the dogs are upside down. No, this is actually a print. It may be kind of hard to see this, but as you see as I turn it, you can see different sheens at different levels. There's actually different levels here that are generated on this graphic by creating textures. You can do manually create textures or automatic textures, or you can just take a beautiful sunset picture. When you live in Florida, you get those pretty regularly, and just print it out. Once again, this is printed out on a $1.20, $1.25 actual canvas from Michael's.
We've got a comment from somebody who's got a UV printer now.
Yep.
Says, I am forced to print texture with clear, and it's so slow, I can't actually make money out of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Some of these printers actually make you do your texturing in clear, which on most machines, at most, that's 2 channels, all right? We can come back and print our textures with 7 channels. Do the math. We are 7 2s, 3.5 times faster printing down textures because of that. And you can get some really, really cool designs. I hope we can get a good representation of this.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. If you can see this, there is some serious texture to this. Now, this was done in solid white because the design itself is white, but there was no color layer. This was a 7-layer print, all right? On the back, we have some fun stuff playing around, but just to show you the example, full color on black acrylic for I guess it's a Wendy's ad, right? But just more examples of what you can print with the UV printers. So, meanwhile, back at the poker chips, right? We have loaded up, and this is kind of a cool application. What we do is when you get custom, when you're printing UV, you have to be smarter than the item you're printing on, right? Because it's not like a piece of paper, it's not a T-shirt or something, it's not a piece of vinyl. You have to be smarter than the item, which means you've got to kind of figure out how to target. What we've done is we've created a jig. We know we're not going to do a lot of poker chips, so we've actually created and printed a jig out of white ink. These levels, as you can see right back here, if you remember the snippers I showed you with the EMB supplies on it before, those were right here. This was where we had those jigs those set in for this jig to be able to print them on. We just printed those. We've actually set this up to do 22 poker chips, all right? And we're ready to go. You can do this for items that you do a limited number of. You can use things like Play-Doh or modeling clay. We have Legos here we use to hold items. When you're doing just a couple of items, you don't need to get carried away with buying something or having something made or making it yourself. Just throw it together, get the item flat, do some test printing. The beds that come on these, they actually have a silicon bed drop-on that we include with it, all right? These actually hold items steady, and you can actually print onto these to target with because it doesn't like to stick to silicon, but you'll get a good representation of the print. When it's done, you wipe it off with a little acetone, you're good to go. All right? Go ahead and load up and print some poker chips. This is amazing how, and by the way, this is the only one we have that's self-loading, but you do have to babble like a salesman for a while for it in order to be able to do that itself. All right, pull up our software and go to poker chip.
Let's turn on the screen.
Yeah, I'm going to put the screen on and turn us off. You should have that. And we are ready to roll.
We've got a question here. Does the rip come with the machine?
Yes, yes, the rip is included. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to populate this. I forgot I didn't bring in my poker chips. All right, hold on. We'll get rid of this one. Boom. We're going to bring in our poker chips. All right. And so for this first layer right up here, we're going to bring in our red poker chip. Oh, not a golf ball. That's all right. It's easy to remove. All right. Sorry, golf ball. It's the beauty of the rip is if you screw up, it makes up for you. We want to bring in a poker chip. All right. As you see, we've got this set up for demo purposes. I don't know if you all can see on here. These are all labeled in numbers. You can set your own jigs up. If I knew I was just going to print a whole page of poker chips, I would label all of these 1. For demo purposes, we have to set the first one at 1, and then we have 2 is the next 10. All right. And then for the next layer, they're all number 3. So now I've actually got all of these loaded up. I want to go ahead and process all of them. I like to rip mine initially ahead of time. Going to rip all of these up so they're ready to print. There was a question does the RIP software come with it? Yes, the RIP software also has a design front end. As you can see, all of these in total are going to cost less than a penny to print. I know it's kind of crazy to believe that, but it's true. When you see how much ink's on it, it'll make sense. Can you do variable data? Good question. Can you do variable data? Yes. There was a question asked, if you want to bring back so that I'm on camera again. There we go. Hopefully you all will be able to see it. Can you do variable data? Yes. What variable data means is, let's say somebody gives you an Excel file or a tab delimiter, commented delimited file. It's got names and numbers and things like that in it. Can you spool it in? Absolutely. The front-end software, the design software will allow you to do that. It also allows you to do sequencing, which means if you needed to put on like ticket numbers or things like that, you could actually bring that in and you'll say, okay, I want this to start at 1001 and I want it to index on 5. So go to 1001, 1006, 1011, however you want it to step, you can set it up to do that. You also can set it up to do barcoding. So if you need to put barcodes on an item, you can put barcodes on items as well. All right. So there are, as you can guess, there are multiple different ways to address putting things in. You can do it in your design software, Illustrator, whatever, but the tools to handle doing multiple, variable data and whatnot, and sequencing and all, so much easier to use in the front end because it's really designed to that. The engine goes back to the sign days when the people were doing a lot of badges and stickers and things like that, had numbers. Great application here because we're actually just doing rigid signage is what we're doing. And the reality check is if you were to try to get a package like this for any other UV printer, it's about a $4,000 software package that we've had put together to optimize this. The texturing wizard alone is worth $1,000. We have getting ready to come out here. We're about done with the poker chips. Are there any other questions about the machines themselves?
Will it do bidirectional?
Virtually everything we printed except for the golf balls we did bidirectional today. Plus, we have 2 lamps on it, all right? We have a wide print area. Having the 2 lamps allows us to print bidirectionally, and we've got the machines dialed in that when we're printing, like I said, I believe these poker chips are printing bidirectionally. Printing poker chips bidirectionally at 720, 720 with a white underbase. So this is taking 2 passes through because we're printing on a dark colored chip in here as well as the white chip. Somebody was asking, where are the machines made? Good question. The machines are actually designed, all our research and development and engineering goes down in Sydney, Australia. And we have a plant that manufactures the machines for us in Singapore. Great place to have machines manufactured because it's the largest shipping port in the world. So when machines are done, they hit the water pretty quickly to us. All righty. We have, as you can see, 2 different representations here. I'll let Mark lean forward. There you go. All right. So you can do poker chips as well. We could then flip these over, boom, print the other side if you wanted to put some number on them or something like that. It looks pretty fast. Obviously, the guy who's asking a lot of the questions is a guy who knows because he's got one of the printers, I think from one of our competitors, that says the machine does print very quickly because we did bidirectional 720, 720 and can give you that kind of quality, right? You can get away with it, and that's really what it's about. The more times you can turn the machine over in a given period of time, the more money you're going to be able to make, and the more competitive way you can be with your competition. Another cool thing, if you haven't been around UV, if I had this tray loaded up with golf balls or loaded up with poker chips, because these are dry when they come out of the printer, as it starts feeding out, I can just start taking these off of the printer and loading up the next sets. So when I'm done, I only have to load up the last couple of layers and get it turned around. The quicker we can turn around the machine, the more profitable we become, because if it ain't making noise, it ain't making money, right? So if we can get it turned around, hit that load button, hit print again quickly, the machine start making noise again. When it's making noise, it's making money.
We've got 2 questions. The first one is, how does this compare to LogoJet?
It's better. Next question. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good question. How do we compare against the major players in the marketplace? Number one, this is not a converted Epson printer. We're in a partnership with a large format manufacturer named Muto that they use our firmware, put our firmware onto their boards. We build the machines from ground up from components from them. All right. Definitely comparatively in a price range, much larger print area until you get into the largest LogoJet. And then we'll step over here and we'll crush them for size over there. Big difference in the cost of output. All right. If you guys have been hearing the numbers I've been thrown out to you, this sign over here that we printed, the big sign was $1.55 on our machine. Based on the cost of the ink that you would buy from LogoJet for their machine, literally you're looking at 4.5 times that price, four times that price roughly for their ink. So that would be a $6, $6.50 sign. That machine board sign would not have made sense to print on the LogoJet because we could have done it on a large format inkjet printer for less money, including building in for labor for the application. All right, so that's a big difference there. Their software doesn't have anywhere near the power. We have the highest amount of horsepower out of our rip and design software of anybody on the marketplace. That's huge, right? So big question there is what software comes with it? What does it cost to print with the unit on a regular basis? Does it have the ability to do texturing without going to another software? How deep does the bed go down? All right, a lot of questions like that. Another concern is when you're looking at a machine that's based on a converted Epson printer is going to be the availability long-term of the components of that printer. And you're looking at the LogoJet and at least one other major manufacturer in this industry use converted Epson desktop printers. All right, big difference when you're doing that because those relationships are tentative based on the wins and how Epson feels at the moment.
We've got another comment from the same customer. I run a UV machine and struggle to be profitable because he can't gain the productivity. Yeah, he's probably got a smaller
It's
bed.
Smaller machine. You know, a lot of the machines, some of the Mimakis and whatnot, you can only print unidirectionally. All right, you run into like being able to print bidirectional. Guys, don't sell that short. Being able to print bidirectionally on small items like this, on your ad specialty type of items, is huge. All right, being able to print signs like this sign at 720 by 360 DPI and get the quality that we did, all right, bidirectionally, is huge. What do we say? It was just under 7 minutes to print this sign?
Yeah, it was $6.50 about.
Okay.
And what was the in cost?
$1.55. So if you think about it, let's call it 7 minutes. I could turn roughly 8 of these around in an hour. That's 64 signs in an 8-hour shift. That's pretty impressive. All right.
Do you think that kind of sign would sell for?
Well, you know what? I'll ask, man, who would sell these? What would you sell this sign for, Bill?
Looking online today, an 18 by 24 sign was $25.
Full color.
Full color.
Okay, great. So the picture of the girl was $24, $25. So this would be a $70 sign, $60 to $70 sign, be a safe estimate. All right. Obviously, if they're going to order 60 or 70 of them, you give them a little bit of break. But so let's just say you could get $50 for this sign
In 7 minutes.
and print 8 of them an hour. That's $3,200 a day productivity just printing Coro signs. All right. And the Coro material was $11 for a 4x8. I could get 2 of these out of that piece with some leftover scrap and the ink. So you do the math on that. It's about $7 into this sign that you would sell for $50. All right, in 7 minutes. Any other questions on the machines, the process? You guys aren't worried about how much they cost? Wow. Give you a ballpark range. You're looking in the mid to upper 30s on the smaller machine and the low 50s on the large machine. That includes a full set of inks, liter of each color, cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and white. It includes the pads, which, by the way, I'm in the wrong business. These guys are really proud. Somewhere there's a guy doing a webinar right now about if you can develop these type of pads, all right, these sell for $540-something, all right. We include one of these pads for the small machine. There's 2 on the large machine to cover the full bed. That's included. The rip and design front end are included, as are an installation at your location, full setup and training on the machine, maintenance of the machine, operation of the machine, and training on the software as well. All that's included in that pricing, and it comes with a 2-year parts and labor warranty. You have the ability to contact us for support either via the phone, via our website, via email. We also include with it a webcam. Believe it, exact same webcam that I'm talking to you guys through. So when you have one of those situations that comes up where you're trying to describe what's going on, maybe you're getting a funky looking print or something like that, and it's just so much easier. You can actually take the camera and you're talking live with one of my technicians. He's seeing what you're seeing. Really shortens up that support curve. That's why we started including these a long time ago with a lot of the machines we sell here. So that's what you get for a full package. There are some optional items that are available. You can get a vacuum bed made for them if you're doing like really a lot of, if I was doing a lot of Coro signs or a lot of really thin signage, I would want to get a vacuum bed on the machine. It's a lot easier to transfer. As you saw Bill kind of, and I struggled a little bit pulling it off. It's a little sticky. That's good. You don't want it to move, but the vacuum bed, you turn it off, pop another one on, pop the vacuum bed back on. We have a cylindrical attachment to do cylindrical items like cups and things like that, as well as available as an option. You can get jigs. We can hook you up with some jigs, like we had the golf balls on. However, you know, we've looked at some of our competitors' names who shall ever remain named. LogoJet, they charge $600 for a jig, I believe that's 72 balls, and they have set up in their rip, they have the basic template to be able to print golf balls. That's beautiful. Had a customer in the other day, was asking about it. He was very impressed with the fact that they did that. And I said, let's look it up, pulled it up online. $599 for that set. This jig cost us maybe $175 to have made. And you can make those connections in your own town, somebody who has a laser or a water jet to cut them out for you. And it took Bill, our technician, maybe 15 minutes to set up the actual template of that. And that's because we were trying to customize it so that we could drop one in or multiples to be able to do it for demos. So you can do that. If you decide that you would rather give us $600, we will make a jig for you and we'll set up templates for you. That looks like it. Looks like there's one more question. Yeah, obviously someone who's dealt with interfacing with support, whatever. Having the webcam is a great idea. It really, really shortens the curve, guys. I mean, you're going to be new to this. You're going to forget a few things that you learned during your training, and being able to show somebody instead of describe it to them, or having to take a video with your phone and uploading it, and there's a huge file, and then we have to download it, and we tell you that was the wrong angle. You know, when you're using the webcam, if it's the wrong angle, the tech's going to tell you, it's the wrong angle, get from behind, turn it here, put some light in there. Really helps shorten the curve up a lot. And if he were having you go and do something in your machine, we have the webcam here. We can actually do just like we are here, do an instant connection to you with a instant webinar and be able to go through and show you how to do something as well.
So because we have so many people here that have attended the webinar, and we do appreciate your time and attention, do me a favor, and if you'd like a formal quote,
that's right,
or if you have any technical questions like to get with Don with, would you just raise your hand, and we will make sure that we single you out and get back to you. You
can also, if you want, just type in the question area.
Yep.
Say, hey, I'd like a call, an email, quote, whatever, and I'll be sure to get with you. You can go to our website, as I assume most of you all did since you're here,
Yep.
which is compressuvprinter.com. As we mentioned, we will be, hopefully we got a successful recording of this,
Yeah.
and we will be processing that and getting it out. We'll send you a link to that up on either YouTube or Vimeo,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to watch it again if you play it back. And I'll make sure I do it, make sure I didn't lie too much. I'm pretty good about that. But find out what strange body gestures I've been doing on this one. I usually have something like that that comes up. I appreciate you again, your time, taking the time out to be with us today. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about UV printing overall and a lot about our printers. And we'll be continuing to do these in some specialty applications as we go along. We'll be sure to let you all know. Thanks. Have a great day, and thanks for shopping Compress UV printers.